Conversation with a Conjurer. Hang on. Welcome to Constipation with a Confabulator. Welcome. I'm going to turn my TV off. Hang on. It's making noise.
Have you been on many podcasts before?
In about 4 or 5, yeah.
Hopefully this will be the most interesting and entertaining one that you'll have the opportunity to be on for at least in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
We like to cut up. We like to have fun. And all right. Daniel always kicks off the introduction.
Why is that fucking phone still going off? Julia!
You would think that this is all part of the act, right? You would think that this was planned. Dwayne's over here like, what the hell have I gotten myself into?
Well, y'all got a thing, man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You
got a nice looking setup back there, though, Dwayne. You have a lot of books.
Yeah, man. Yeah, working.
Are those all magic books?
I don't want to hear it.
No, most of those are business books.
Okay. All right.
Let me recenter.
All right.
Welcome to Conversation with a Conjurer. I'm Dan Rivington. With me, as always, Alex Johnson. And with us today is Dewayne Hill. Is it Dewayne or Dwayne?
Exactly.
All right, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go into how we even came to have you on the show? You want me to start off with that little bit of a story?
Sure, man. I'm game.
All right. So this was, we're part of this group, some magicians forum on Facebook, right? And he made a post and people were commenting and, just we're giving him hell, just going on, just pretty much talking shit more or less. And I was like, well, who is this guy? Why is he catching so much hell? And so I clicked over to his Facebook page and I saw that, he actually had, a big ass billboard. I'm like, man, y'all are tripping, man. He's actually doing something. He can afford a billboard to promote his magic. So he's doing something right. And so then I guess one thing led to another, and Dwayne reached out to me and said he wanted to be on the podcast, and here we go. So welcome on the show, Dwayne.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all having me here today. For sure.
So you're a professional magician in the Tampa area.
I am, and I travel, coast to coast all year long performing for corporate events, associations, churches, country clubs, mainly adults. I don't really do the kid thing.
Now, probably a lot of people at home will be thinking corporate. How did you get in with that kind of gig?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about getting into corporate work. The thing is, the more I'm into it as deep as I am, the more specialized you actually learn about the industry. People say corporate, they think, people in suits, they got calls in their hand, but it's actually a lot deeper than that. So in corporate that you can do, there's, one group of corporate decision makers that do one particular type of events. They have those events all over the country. You have another group of people that have a different type of corporate event. They have those all over the country. A lot of people think about the trade show work, trying to be a magician at a trade show or work a trade show booth. That's its own separate thing. So corporate is very vast, and, you can really get into falling down different rabbit holes when it comes to that. So what I had to learn how to do is I learned that different types of businesses over the course of time, I've learned what they do. So if I have a roofing company, I know what I'm going to pitch to them. If I have a pharmaceutical company, I know what I'm going to pitch to them. If I have a sales company, I know what I'm going to pitch to them. And all three of those people have their own separate type of events, and then they have them industry-wide. So I take that and I mushroom that out, and I go after, 20 roofing companies, 20 pharmaceutical companies, 20 sales companies. You follow what I'm saying? So, what I'd start doing, you asked me about corporate, I start looking for patterns. I would look when I decided that I hated that feeling that I had when I was at the end of the year, you know, at the end of December, you start January. It was kind of like that feeling like I'm starting all over, right? And whatever I just did the previous year, I got to rebuild it. And I hated that feeling of looking at my calendar and not knowing, you know, how many gigs I was going to have, having that uneasy feeling of, am I going to book this? Am I going to book that? It took me a long time to get to where I can look at my calendar now. I pretty much book shows at will. So I can look, and if I can decide to say, okay, I'm not working this weekend, I literally say I'm not working it. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way because I say I'm not working that weekend, and then I get an offer that's stupid to turn down, and it's like, well, shit, I guess I'm working, you know? So then I go out and I do the gig. But to get to that point where I say, okay, I'm not going to work this weekend because I'm making enough money the rest of the month to turn that weekend work away that weekend. It took me a while to get to that. And I'm at a point now where I've developed a sell system and a corporate booking system that I'm able to do that.
So I was wanting to ask you a question. You know, the billboard, just getting back on the billboard.
Okay.
Sorry, because, you know, I've never seen any other magician with a billboard. So you're saying you're booking corporate events. What was even the specific advertisement? You know, what was the billboard for? Was that just for your name, or was that to try to help you get gigs in the area?
I was pushing people to two things on that particular landing page. One, people's like big birthdays they were having, and two, it was going after the corporate audience. So those are the main two things. Those are the main two things I was going after.
Did you have your phone number on there? Like, I'm sure you probably got, you know, tons of birthday party calls.
Yeah. What I did was I had a special vanity number that tracked.
Okay. You mentioned tracking
those calls. So that way, when that call came in, I knew that was coming in from my billboard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody?
I don't know if you struggle with this. Dwayne, but you know, I keep getting leads coming through, and they come through quite a lot, and it's for kids' parties. And you know, just because I'm a magician, do you still get stuff like that coming through, like kids' parties? And no. Is that because of your branding or your website? Why do you think that is?
Well, one thing is, like, if you go to my website, you'll be hard pressed to find a picture of me doing a show for a child. One, two, I'm at a price point where it just, you know, it pre-qualifies people not to call me for Timmy's 10-year-old birthday party. But a lot of it, I think, has to do with website. If someone's looking for, you know, what I call, you know, what I call here the pizza and punch show, you know, having pizza and punch by the pool, and it's, you know, Timmy's turning 9 and he likes magic. I'm not that guy. My videos communicate that I'm not that guy. I don't push that guy. I don't advertise that guy. I don't post pictures of that guy. I'm not that guy. There's plenty of other dudes who want to do that. I'm not that guy. Now, I do get occasional calls where people don't know, and they're saying, you know, hey, we're having a party or whatever. I mean, I'm at a point now where I'm busy performing so much for adults that I just tell people straight up, look, if people say, hey, we're having a kids party, like, look, I'm probably not the guy. Let me refer you to somebody that does that. I'm not that person. You know, and then every once in a while, I have someone that will just be kind of insistent, and they're curious or they're nosy. You know, well, if you were that guy, what would the fee be? And I just tell them the same thing I tell a corporate audience. You know, hey, it's, you know, we're $2,500, $3,000. Now, if you want to pay that for Timmy's birthday party, then, you know, I'll rock it out, man. But that's the fee.
That'd be a rich little Timmy, huh?
Yeah, I'm not that $300 magician that's doing pizza by the pool. I'm not that guy.
Were you ever that guy, you know, getting started?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was, you know, scrambling for work, just eager. And I think a lot of magicians get caught up into that. They're eager just to try to take any gig.
Right.
And I think some of that is to prove to naysayers or to prove to themselves that they can actually make money as a magician.
Or they might just take money.
You know, or just to, you know, point, look and say, look, I performed, and I got paid to do it. And I think, believe it or not, I think it's a broken mentality that's in our community we need to fix. Because of that, because it's lowering the payout across the board, you know. But, you know, the only reason why people are calling magicians and thinking that they can book a top-notch magician for $400 is because there are magicians out there accepting $400, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, I know, Dan, you're in Leeds in the UK, right? So me and Alex can talk. I know, like, for me to take my car to a garage and get it looked at, me and Alex, I know how it is in the UK. For us to take our car to a garage, United States standard for mechanics to look at our cars, just to do what they call just to do a diagnostic is $89 to $120. Alex, you think is that true?
I mean, yeah, about 120 an hour here.
Okay, so we know that. So how do I look going to a mechanic and say, hey, I want you to diagnose my car for $30?
He'd laugh.
I mean, you can't do it.
He would hand you the little machine and say, plug it in, you try to read it.
Yeah, he'll tell you to go to, Advance or AutoZone or something and have them, use a little pocket scanner and try to tell you what's wrong with your car, right? Because you can't do that in that industry. You can't go to a heart surgeon and say, look, man, yeah, I know you're, $40,000 for heart surgery, but hey, I got 7. Can you do it for 7? Why are we allowing that in the magic community?
I think it's more desperation creates that kind of situation where
exactly, and that's a mistake.
And also, maybe a lot of people getting started about not know how to set their price. If you don't have any sort of proof or record, then you meet somebody. I want to book you. How much is it? And you tell them $200 an hour or whatever you want to charge.
Right.
And then they're like, well, no, I can't afford that. Then you'd automatically turn and say, okay, well, I'll do it for 150 or 100 or whatever.
That is a great pricing mistake, right? So what I call it similar to like what I call the flea market mentality, right? You go to a flea market or one of those open markets, where you got the people out there selling trinkets or whatever, right?
Right.
You pick it up, you ask the guy, you say, how much is this? And the guy looks at you and he goes, you know what? I like you, man. I'll sell it to you for $4. And you stop and you go, He says, all right, give me $3 and you take it. And you give the guy $3 and then you walk off and then you think to yourself, like, was it really $3 or could I got it for $2? Right. So you temporarily feel good that you got it. But when you really think about it afterwards, you're like, was that really the real price? Right. So what I've learned.
Are you talking about from the buyer's perspective, from the customer's perspective?
Exactly.
I mean, but if you do good at that performance, I don't think that they would really question, if you're charging $400 versus $350 or whatever. Right.
But the thing is,
in your case, $2,000. But if you walk up wearing a Rolex watch and, you're talking to a CEO, you're saying, I want $3,000. Give me $3,000 for what I do.
But the reason why that a lot of people aren't booking magicians for the price that they're booking is because they don't believe that's the real price.
Right.
Now, I think that's an issue with magicians as well, because a lot of magicians are not willing to stand firm on their price, which is like, I mean, with me, I don't change my price for each client. It's always, I mean, I don't want to speak numbers too publicly, but it's always the same for each type of event. For example, mine's about the average for the performer in my area for weddings, right? For birthday parties, I think I charge probably a bit more, but I mean, I think people are willing to haggle. They're willing to do whatever to get their gig.
Exactly. So let's analyze that briefly from a psychological standpoint, right? Okay. So Dan or Alex, if you had 10 gigs this month that were paying you $1,000 a show, would you haggle on your price?
No, because I don't need to.
Case closed. That's why I don't haggle. My price is this. I would rather lose the gig and keep their respect than temporarily book it because I'm eager for work. And the only reason why magicians are haggling on the prices, and this is a conclusion I have for myself, I ain't busy enough. Right? I just told a lady today, she was talking about doing a graduation party in California. Want to know the price. She said, hey, we're going to have 50 people in my house. Fantastic, man. She said, what's the price? $2,500.
So how would somebody from California find you all the way in Florida?
Market out there.
Interesting. So you're actually
Okay.
flying, you're not just in the Tampa area, you're flying, wherever.
Nationwide, coast to coast. Flying out tomorrow, going to Palm Springs, California.
That's
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
And what kind of gigs are you aiming at in California, like corporate and country clubs and stuff?
All of it.
Fair enough.
All of it.
How much is a flight to Palm Springs, for example?
You can catch it if you catch it right.
Bucks.
You can catch it anywhere from 300 to 600 round trip.
So you're taking 1,800 minimum home from the gig after you've got the flight.
Correct.
That's not bad, Yeah. What do you think makes people choose you over somebody in the Los Angeles area or California area?
Well, I think number one, they believe my price is the price. Okay, I don't have it. My price is the price. That's the fee. This is the fee. Okay, and the thing is that I've learned is that the more I have changed my vocabulary to sound more like a CEO, I'm talking more to CEOs, right? A CEO that's in charge of a multi-million-dollar company, he doesn't want to haggle with you. He wants to know what's the fee. Okay? Somebody calls me and they say, what's the fee? It's 3,000. Or it's 4,000. Or it's 5,000. Click them. There is no, I don't answer that question like it's a question. You ask people their price. I mean, I'm going through it right now. I'm getting ready to put a putting green on my property here, okay? I'll put a little synthetic putting green so, I don't have to drive the golf course every day. I know, a little lazy, but that's cool, okay? I ask these guys and say, how much is it for putting? 1,800?
You'd be like,
and I'm thinking, I don't know, my dog. Is it 1,800? I asked you. You coming back to me like it's I don't know. Is it 1,800? So at that point, I don't even believe his price. So if I don't believe his price, I don't believe his work. If I don't believe his work, I don't believe he's going to have the results that I want. I'm not going to take the risk on the money.
So speaking on what we spoke about over the phone, a couple of days ago, you said your whole mission is to help magicians, overcome no more excuses is how I believe that you phrased it. You want to elaborate on what you mean about no more excuses?
Well, when I was coming up in the magic community, there were all those supposed greats, right? You look up to that, back in the 90s, there was this thing called like World's Greatest Magic. It always came on night before Thanksgiving in the States. And you would see, Gertner and Daryl and Amar and Williamson and Tom Mullica. You would see all these great people on the show doing magic. And I remember when I was younger and I was trying to come up, I reached out to those people, sent them emails, asking them, like, look, I even came at them. I wasn't even trying to ask them for free advice. I came at them and said, hey, what do you charge for a phone call? This is what I want to do. I want to be a full-time pro. It seems like you're doing it. What advice? And people would read my emails and they wouldn't answer me. They didn't get back to me. And I was like, what's that about? And I mean, I went to the top of the food chain. I went to the big wigs and asked them. They didn't answer my question. So I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna get my answers one way or another. And I got my answers outside of the magic community, So now me coming back into the magic community as a magician, it's like, somebody's out there and they want to know how to book shows or they want to know what it takes to be full-time. I'm willing to help them. And you're going to hear it from a magician. You're not going to hear it from, like, a lot of stuff I learned from a guy that owns a car lot. I learned something from a guy that owns an insurance company. I learned it from a guy that has, a tech company. I learned all this stuff from all these outside people that wasn't in the magic community because business is business. 80% of all business is the same. It's all people. It's just knowing how to relate to people. Yeah, I mean, this guy might, sell software and I might be over here doing a Elmsley count, but we're still dealing with people. So, if a magician reaches out to me, they hit me in the DM, they send me an email, I at least answer them because I remember how that felt when I reached out to people and I didn't get an answer.
That's good. Giving back to the community is always good. And Have you thought about setting up maybe like a program where you well, not necessarily to monetize, but to publicize your, let's say, teachings on the business side of magic?
Yeah, there's two things I got in development. I got a video series that's going to be online that people can, I figured out it would be easier for me to do like a series of videos on all these different topics. People can watch them, they can rent them, they can write down notes, they can go back and watch them. I was doing private coaching for a while. I still offer it, but I don't really push it so much. But I'm going to do the video series that's going to launch here really, really soon. And I think what I want to do is after the video series, I want to do like a conference, like a 3-day conference where magicians can come in, they can answer their questions, but more importantly, they can hear from other people, right? They can actually hear from, like, I got friends of mine that are corporate decision makers, nonprofit decision makers, country club decision makers, and they can actually hear how these people make decisions on how they book entertainment, who they decide to pick, and all that. I remember was a magician recently reached out to me when I was in St. Louis, and he said, how do you find these corporate people that have the money to pay what you're asking? Right. And I said, they all have it. If a company's doing $1 million a year, they all have it. But just because they choose not to pay you doesn't mean they don't have it. They just didn't pay you.
What do you think separates the people that are doing corporate events, making a lot of money per gig versus the guys like David Blaine, who were over there, like stealing watches off George Bush, like moving up to the political sector in magic?
Well, David Blaine's carved a niche out for himself way before anybody else did. Back in the 90s, doing street magic, that publicized everything. Now he's a national brand. I think I heard that he's asking $100K per appearance. And I heard that he gets it, so, good for him.
Well, David Blaine probably does corporate stuff.
Yeah, if somebody's going to pay him $100,000 to appear, that's what I heard.
I'm just saying, like, I'm more like a vague way, like, how would you get into performing, say, for, politicians?
You pitch them. It ain't hard.
Have you ever did that before? Like, say, pitched for like a congressman's party or something?
I actually made a conscious decision that I will not perform for a political figure above a mayor.
Okay, fair enough.
And the reason why is because, and I remember I put this question out on Facebook, is if I do that, do I look like I align with their political views? Right? And here's the funny thing about that answer. Half the people, literally, it was split right down the middle. Half the people on Facebook said no, and the other half said yes.
Let me ask you this: Would you perform for Vladimir Putin?
No. No.
Depends how much he fucking pays, brother.
No, it would not.
It depends on if you were stuck there or what.
No.
Vladimir Putin,
would you have the balls still wash off of Putin's wrist?
Going up a little bit.
Yeah, but the people, the general public answering that question, the people that was on my friends list when I asked that told my answer. Half the people said yes, half the people said no. Well, I don't know which half I would land in.
Right.
So that kind of answered the question. So nobody really above a mayor. There's people that, I do agree with some of their politics, some things I don't, but it's like, even if I do it, do I look like I'm supporting that particular politician? So I kind of stay clear of that. But
if you break it down a little bit more, though, if it's 50-50, people think it doesn't matter. People think that it is a show of support. Then only half of those are going to be against that, because the way voting goes, it's usually 50-50. Maybe it's different I think Florida's a red state, right? So is it a red state? I don't know.
I don't know. I just know Florida makes the news. I know Florida makes news every day. We make the news for doing something crazy every day. Florida man, Florida woman, Florida man.
In your defense, you're not from Florida. You just live there, right?
I do. I'm a transplant, like 90% of everybody else that lives here. So
see, here in Tennessee, up in the mountains near North Carolina, Eagles Nest is a really nice area. And driving through there, everybody you see has Florida tags. So they're coming from Tennessee or from Florida up to Tennessee, and everybody else is going down to Florida.
Yeah.
By the way, how's the weather there? Is it super hot out?
No, it's about it's in the 70s today.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, it's 80. It's a little warm.
Hey guys,
it's not hot.
So it didn't let me upgrade the Zoom thing right here. So we got 2 minutes left on this. Would you all like to stop this, and then I'll send a new link out, so we'll have 40 more minutes because it's not letting me upgrade.
I'm game for that.
And then they'll have 40 minutes to keep rolling. All right.
Dan seems like he's got some questions, man.
We're getting there. We're getting into the good stuff now. So just a minute. I'm going to stop this one, and I'll send out a new link. You need to smoke a cigarette, do whatever, take you a shot of whiskey or whatever you like, whatever your vice is there, Dewayne. All right.
Have you got any vices?
I'm going to stop recording for this.
Yeah, have you got any vices? Can you hear us?
All right. We're back. We had to take a little bit of a break, but welcome back. So where did we leave off?
All right, yeah?
We left off. It looked like Daniel was on a cliffhanger. He had something he was about to say.
Well, there's been more than 30 seconds since then, so I've got no idea.
We were talking about shit. What were we talking about? Do you remember?
Look, man, if you were we were talking about whether or not these companies have the money to pay this or pay that.
All right.
And they do. They do have the money to pay it. But if they don't believe that's your price, why would they pay it?
Okay. Who would you contact? Say you wanted to, I know that you work with McDonald's, Coca Cola, whatever. Who would you even contact to pitch to them? Who's the person that's responsible for, regional corporate events? Like who would you recommend people to try to reach out to?
I mean, it could be, let's play rapid fire. Okay.
All right.
Name it. Either you can name a company or better name an industry.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what I would pitch to that industry.
I want to perform for whoever, makes good whiskey.
Okay.
So the alcohol industry.
All right. So let's see what they're going to have. They're going to have a brand launch event. They're going to have a rebrand launch event.
Okay.
They're going to sponsor an offsite event at a conference. Okay. They're going to have an internal employee event. If they have a distillery or a manufacturing plant, they're going to have probably a safety award for somebody that didn't get hurt. And then they're going to have an event for their sponsors or their external vendors. So you've got 6.
Interesting.
That's just you just naming one thing. I've given you 6 things to pitch. Okay. Now, I've pitched myself so much that I can do that with just about any industry. So my problem when I was trying to transition from being a job to going full time,
right?
I saw too many things. I got overwhelmed. Right? I saw too many leads. There were like too many people. And if you really think about that, there are too many. You can't, or any other magician or me, anybody else, you can't get there. And I had a coaching call. I believe in coaching. So I had a coaching call with Tony Robbins' people. And she asked me on the call, she goes, what's one of your biggest hurdles? I go, I get so overwhelmed with who do I pitch to and talk to that I don't know which one's the right decision. So I don't make any decision. I just get overwhelmed and freeze up. And it was on that call she showed me, she goes, how can we switch that where that's not a hurdle and it's an actual benefit? And then that one call, boom, everything changed. Because
so
now
what was the solution?
It's too many leads. It's too many people.
So how did you overcome that?
That's a good thing.
Right.
As opposed to it being a paralyzing fear. That's a good thing. You can't get there.
So how do you, what's your selection, process then?
I don't have one. I go after everybody. I don't,
So,
you don't have time, bro. You don't have time.
Do you use anything like constant contact, or how do you, shoot out, your emails and
people
pitches?
would A group of magicians or a group of business owners would probably judge me very harshly. I use a spreadsheet. We use spreadsheets. Me and the 4 or 5 people that work for me, we use spreadsheets.
Okay. So
That's
are you like Dewayne Hill, S Corp or what?
Dewayne Hill.
What?
Well, he says he has people that work for him, so it's like
Escort.
S
I'm
Corp
just a
corporation,
Yeah, I'm just Dewayne Hill.
I thought you were saying is an escort like a lady of the night.
No, that's my redneck accent over here. You forget I'm from Tennessee, all right?
Yeah.
You mean Esquire?
No, like Dewayne Hill Inc. Because you said you have employees. So how do your employees help you manage? Like at the level that you are, professionally and with your career. You said you have 5 people. What's their roles? If you don't need an assistant because you don't do that, the style of magic. What are the 5 people what do they do?
I have an executive admin. She's my VP of booking. Her name is Christine. She's the one that keeps the contract straight. She's my liaison between me, but more importantly, what she does my follow-up. I realized about 2 years ago, I needed to have one dedicated person just to follow up. So she mainly does the follow-up, gets the contracts closed, make sure everything's on course, make sure everything's on pace. I have another person that's dedicated to doing nothing but meeting planners. So that one person, he is in charge of making sure we stay in contact with meeting planners, event coordinators. That's his one job. And then I've got people that help me manage my databases, make sure everything's up to date. It's clean. This person left. This person transferred. This person got arrested. Take them out. Who's the new person? Where did that person go? Did we follow them on LinkedIn? Then I got another person that's dedicated to LinkedIn. That's all they do. Make sure my LinkedIn's straight. Send out invites, answer emails, find new connections, pitch new connections.
Speaking on LinkedIn, just out of curiosity, it's like I know that professionals do use LinkedIn, but how often do contacts come through LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn is one of those things that it's weird that there are people that are on there. Is LinkedIn as active as Facebook? No. Is LinkedIn as active as Instagram? No. But the people that are active are active, and it's a thing that it takes patience. I've actually ran ads on LinkedIn, and it's extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive.
It's really interesting to think about LinkedIn, as a professional, for a magician, because, you think of LinkedIn, you think of, wanting to show, your resume and everything. But as a magician, that possibly, would be a lot more beneficial.
Well,
instead of just having a website, being out there as a, magician on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So one thing that I like to do is I tend to play in a space of I make a list. I've done this. I made a list, and I look at group of magicians, whatever, and I'll look and I say, what are they not doing? Or I say, what are they not willing to do? And that's the space that I really, really excel. Hang on. We good? Oh, I think we're good with our modem. Yeah, I think we're good. Just tell them to check our line.
I was wondering if that was your PR saying,
no,
get off here.
No. We was having internet issues earlier today.
Okay.
So, the space, I apologize for the viewers. So the space that I really try to play, I look and I say, what are people not willing to do? And there is just a certain intensity, obsession that, if I say this in a group, magicians are going to be all over me and say, he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's this, he's blah, 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 blah. Listen, man, I've just been obsessed to have a full-time company. Right. And there's an intensity that I'm willing to do that most people are not going to do.
How often are you booked? How often are you booked as far as being a motivational speaker versus, performing, or is that just one goes hand in hand for you?
It goes hand in hand. It's one and the same.
So if someone books you for a motivational speaking event, you're also going to be performing.
Yes. Yep. And I can interchange in between, so it just depends on how the gig comes in. If they want me to be more of a speaker, cool. They want me to be more of an entertainer, cool. I'll do either one. I mean, it took me a while to kind of build my show to where I could, kind of change and do that back and forth. But, now I do it. I don't even think about
it. Interesting.
So, do you have a set budget for how much you're going to spend on marketing every year? And then how do you decide which marketing to go with?
All of it.
So like Facebook ads, Twitter ads, you said billboards earlier. Like, I'm guessing you're not going out and pamphleting and putting flyers places. Are you doing that too? Like,
I did. I did everything. You name it, I tried it, and I measured it. So here's something for the viewers they can take away from. Learn this again. This is something I learned from a marketing workshop outside of magic. Okay. Whatever gets tracked gets improved. And most people aren't tracking hardly anything. And I remember I went to a workshop that one of Tony Robbins' people was putting on. He was, trying to sell us to go to a Tony Robbins event. Cool. But I mean, there's a lot of good things you get out of some of those free workshops. And this was one of them. And I remember his name was Steve. I walked up to Steve after he was done, and he, did a thing and PowerPoint, and he had a, dry erase board, and he was, doing all this stuff, showing all this stuff. And we were talking about whatever gets tracked gets improved. And
you mean like metrics? You mean like
yes,
on a digital platform, pretty much
metrics, whatever, everything. So the answer to that question, that was my question to him. I said, what all does Tony track? What are you all tracking Tony Robbins' organization? And he looked at me and he said, everything. And at the time, I didn't get it.
Was he that excited about it?
Yeah.
He seems a little bit overworked.
He said everything. And I said, okay. So I went back, and there was just a couple of basic things I started with, a few years ago. Just start tracking a few basic things. The very next year, my income went up 15%. And the only thing that was different was me tracking certain things.
And what do you do with the data that you track? Like you say, you track, say you're using, Google Analytics or whatever. Do you have an outside thing that you use to, you said spreadsheets, right? So,
yeah.
So what does that information, do to help you?
The funny thing is like, and this is a very spooky thing, and people will not believe this. This is a very spooky thing. If you look at a certain set of data, right? You look at data and you just look at it. If you're really looking at it from the standpoint that you want to be better, either as a business owner, making more money, making more gigs, just looking at it, your brain will start to talk to you. That data will actually start talking to you.
Right.
So one thing I looked at, I remember I was looking for patterns. I remember this was back in about like 2014 or something like that. I made a list of all the shows I booked for that year, and I put out the name of the company and what that dollar amount was. And at the end of the year, I did my end of the year review, and I just started looking at it. And I started noticing, I was like, that's funny. I said, my 5 top paying shows this year came from churches. If I wasn't tracking that, I wouldn't have paid attention to that. Right? So that's just me looking at the data. So now that becomes its own separate vertical when it comes to marketing, when it comes to pitching, when it comes to closing a deal, when it comes to pricing a deal, when it comes to structuring a deal. I remember that moment because I remember I was looking, I was like, I just looked because I sorted my list A to Z, like top paying shows to at least. And I was like, it was like one church paid me that year was like $1,200. Another church paid me like $800. Another church paid me $1,200. Another church paid me $15. Another church paid me $14. And then I had, a bunch of $600, $700, little shows. And I was like, my top 5 paying shows came from churches. But if I wasn't tracking that information, You don't know that.
Do you consider yourself an artist? Like, how would you describe, your magic?
I am a business owner that I've chosen entertainment as my business venture.
Interesting. Because I know, like, a lot of magicians are more of the weird, like, the artsy type people that aren't very business minded. And you said most of your books in the background are business books.
Yeah, that's the majority of that stuff. There's a couple magic magazines back there. Most of that is so we got a book, Buying Customers. We got How to Sell. We got Business Mastery. We have John Maxwell, 21 Law.
Have you got the Art of the Deal by Donald Trump? I've heard that's a good word.
I don't think it's back there.
It's not back there.
I don't think that's back there. Don't you put that on me. Don't put that on me, Dan. That ain't back there, brother. That's not back there.
He's so inappropriate,
That's all right. It ain't back there. Yeah.
So I was wondering what the difference between, like, from a performance standpoint, not a business standpoint, from a performance standpoint, how would your performance be at a church as opposed to for corporate?
Nothing.
Exactly the same.
Yes. With the exception of me talking about my church background.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
And then, like, so the same thing for a country club, the same thing for a phone company, the same thing for McDonald's. It's the same, pretty much the same show in the same format. It's just marketed to different individuals.
Yes. And that was done by design. I built a show like that on purpose. Okay. So these cats out here walk around talking about, I customize my show. No, you don't. That's what you tell yourself because you don't have a standard price. No, you don't. You're doing 80% of the same thing you've done for the last show. You might change out this trick or change out that trick, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, all that stuff's cool. But 80% of the time, it's the same show. So me, I'm just 100. I created a show. Now, here's what I will do. Now that I'm doing as much comedy as I am doing magic, if I'm in front of a group that I know is a little bit rowdy, I'll do a couple more PG jokes than I would for a straight-laced, straight-up Disney G-rated, like no goofing around. Right. But there's something that I do in the beginning of my show. The first 3 minutes I'm on stage, I do a litmus test and I determine how hard I can go with that audience. And I'm able to determine that in the first 3 minutes or less, because I do my first 3 jokes and if I hear the laughs and I can hear how much they laugh, if I don't get the laughs I really want, then I know, okay, cut it back. But if I get the laughs I want, push a little bit.
But you've been doing this for what, 20, 30 years. So you have the metrics in your head, of how to measure that. How many years have you been doing this?
Full-time living?
Well, just, corporate events and, being able to.
I mean, I've been shuffling cards, man, since 95.
Okay.
I've been in the game since 95. So some of these younger cats, man, they coming at me in these groups and they in my comments is like, bro, you don't know me, man. You don't know that I drove 8 hours to do a $200 show. You don't know that I drove 8 hours to do a $75 show because I was trying to build my show on stage. I was trying to build myself as a comedy magician. I wasn't funny yet. You don't know that about me. And I did that before the internet, before Google and YouTube. Okay. It was Yahoo. Okay. Yahoo was the thing. You don't know that about me yet, man. You don't know that I was in those magic books that aren't in print anymore. Just because you're not seeing me, doing a bunch of Simon Aronson moves on my videos, it don't mean I don't know them.
How does your comedy show, because you seem like a very business-minded, straightforward, serious person in real life. So right. How does that turn into your comedy?
Bro, comedy's about.
Do you snap into a different beast of your own stage, or?
Yeah, I do, 100%. I mean, I'm a different. When it comes to me rocking stage, man. I mean, when I'm there in show mode, it's about rocking the crowd.
I think my computer's about to die. I'm gonna have to.
It's about rocking the crowd.
You said when I called you,
this is the kind of operation we run here, Dwayne.
We're very professional.
Yeah, it's like I
We're trying not to show you
don't
my
even,
fat chin.
I don't even have a good metaphor to explain it, but it's bad.
It's okay, but what he said, he's like, we working, man, we working. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying.
What's your question, Dan?
in.
Dan, it seemed like your wheels are turning, Dan. Tell you got questions. What's your question?
So I'll tell you what I want you to do for me is just think of one of these cards that you see. You got one?
Yeah.
Right. You're not thinking of a black card, are you?
No.
No, it's hearts.
Yep.
Just say it in your mind over and over again, like 6 of hearts, 6 of hearts, 6 of hearts.
Okay.
That wasn't the card, was it?
No.
Now, I tell you what, just name the card out loud, whichever card that you thought of.
8 of hearts.
8 of hearts. You sure? 50-50,
Yep.
phone a friend, that's the audience.
8.
Now, let's have a look here. Try this. How many cards down do you think it is in the pack?
12.
12. That might be a pretty good guess, you know. That might be a pretty good guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What was the card?
8.
Dropped it. That's not good. That's not very professional. Cut
That
that
was all right.
out.
That was all right.
I think you thought of the 8 of diamonds, actually. I think you actually thought of the 8 of diamonds.
No, I think it was 8 of hearts.
He's been doing this in 95, bro. He knows what he was thinking.
I'll tell you what, try again one more time.
Okay, got it.
It's a black card this time, yeah?
Yep.
Spades.
Yep.
Just say it in your mind over and over again, like 8 of spades, 8 of spades, 8 of spades.
You were 1 off. You were
Oh,
so
7.
close. No, it was the one next to it. It was the 3 of spades.
Oh, the 3 of spades. All right. Ooh.
Good, man. Cool.
No, it's not.
Cool. Cool.
So, what kind of stuff do you do in your act? Like you mentioned to me before that you do some card stuff. You do some coin stuff. Like what kind? How do you choose what works with your act?
Audience response.
And do you find it's different in different situations, or do you
No.
find that?
No, I don't. Not really. No, I don't. No, what I do is I find tricks. I like them. I tweak them. I customize them. For me, customizing as in my method of doing them. And I test them. And if it doesn't get the reaction that I want, I cut it. I'm very unemotional about it. I mean, there's tricks that I enjoy doing as a magician.
Mm-hmm.
There are tricks that I've enjoyed practicing and learning as a magician. But if it doesn't get the reaction that I want, I don't do it. I cut it.
And so, what have you found works for you? Like, what does your act mainly consist of? Like, is it card stuff or?
Like, I can give you a great example. Like, I like doing jazz aces. Okay.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it, but it doesn't connect.
No.
So I don't do it. Cannibal cards. That's another one I enjoy performing, but it doesn't punch him in the face. So I don't do it. Do I know how to do it?
I find the same thing with McDonald's aces.
It's cool, but it doesn't punch him in the face.
No.
Me last night.
So,
when you showed me.
but
I showed it to him. He's never seen it before, and
but doing stuff for a group of magicians at a magic meeting or at a convention, that's cool. But if I gave you a deck of cards and there's 8 guys over there drinking a martini, you need to go rock them. Are you going to do the same thing? I'm not. So I only do stuff that I know for sure is going to punch him right in the face. And if it doesn't do it, I don't do it. I cut it. And it's harsh. And there's stuff that I like, man. I see stuff, I say, man, that's cool. I like it. And I can appreciate it from a magic standpoint, how it was constructed and the method and the da-da-da-da. But if I do it, I'd give a trick about 5 attempts. I do it, and I'll try to look for what I call the breaks or the beats. You know, is it funny? Do they laugh? Does it make sense? I do it about 5 times. If I get to the 5th time, it doesn't get the reaction I want. I just cut it. Say, all right.
That's why I've moved. That's why I've moved to doing a lot more mentalism. You know, with like billets and mind reading type stuff than the cards, because I don't think people connect with cards as much as they do with something that came from their own mind.
Right. Yeah.
Like I can do, 1,000, well, maybe not 1,000, but maybe 100 good routines with cards. Like one of my favorite tricks is I'm trying to remember. It's Acid Winds, double exposure. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an impromptu version of. I'll just tell you the effect. The effect is you have someone just look through the cards, take out anyone that they want, right, and then you mix the cards face up and face down. So the cards are face up, face down, all the way through, right? And then you put their card in, and you give them another little mix, and you spread them out into a fan. They can see that they're all face up and face down. You have them hold on to the cards, and then you take a picture with their phone, and then the only card that's face up is the card that they thought of, their selection. Right, and so on the picture they're holding a bunch of face down cards where they can see that they're all face up and face down. But then on the picture they're all face down except for one card, and it happens to be their card, right? And that's one of the strongest tricks that I've ever seen. Right, and it uses a totally normal pack of cards. You could borrow a pack of cards and do it. And but people connect so much more with the mind reading stuff that like it's hard for me to justify doing that when they enjoy the mind being read more.
Yeah.
Not everybody likes that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's a good mix. I don't like walking into an event where only thing I'm doing is card stuff, and I get annoyed because a lot of professional photos, when I'm actually at an event, I'm getting photographed. And every time I'm getting photographed, I got cards in my hand, right? But, those are professional photographs. So those are the ones that I like to use on my website and my promo material. It kind of gives the impression that a lot of what I was doing is cards. But I had to tell people when I get them on the phone or whatever, I was like, look, I do a whole lot more than just doing stuff just with cards. So that's kind of what I do. I know a lot of magicians, they're interested. They hear me always talking about rocking stage, and they want to see what I do. Well, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was very protective for a long time about what I posted online, because why would somebody pay me $2,000, $3,000 to do a show when they can see what I'm doing on YouTube for free? They don't.
Wouldn't it also, be, if you were to go viral, good exposure? But I mean, if you're able to rock, a $3,000 gig, then you're kind of at the point where it's like you don't really need it, right?
So what I do now.
Let's
just talk over each other, everybody.
Hang on a second. Here's the funny thing. Here's what I figured out the solution is for me. Okay. When I post me actually doing stuff online, I'm actually picking a trick that I would, in my head, I've kind of deemed as a kind of like a B-rated trick. And I'm doing it basically for the sake of the video. But I'm doing it because people want to see me do something. Right. But that's not my grade A stuff that I'm using to really rock the stage. You know what I mean? Or rock the crowd. That's enough for somebody to actually see me online do something, right? And not be worried about, like, can he actually perform? So that's what I figured out for me. That's the balance. You know, I'll if I know that I'm going to record something or I'm going to put something, you know, in a video series, I'll say, well, what can I do here that I don't normally do? And maybe I'll pick a trick that I learned like 4 or 5 years ago. I'll do it for the camera. We get a nice little reaction. Boom, we cut. And then I go back to doing what I normally do. So, you know, that's that.
Have you ever thought about, you know, trying to do anything, you know, like for television as far as like a magic special or anything? I know that you've been, you know, on interviews and stuff on NBC and whatever.
Yeah, I can
oh,
only
wait a
say
minute.
so.
This just reminded me. Okay.
I can only say so much, but I'm working on something. I'm working on something. I can say that. That's all I can say.
But we can't talk about the movie, right?
Oh, the movie that a group of magicians
talk about that, right?
A group of magicians was in my DM and said I was lying about it. Yeah. We did a movie. We definitely did a film. So it's based on a series I'm trying to sell to a streamer, to a studio, and so we shot a movie version of the world and the characters, and you know, all that.
Very strategic. It as what we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care to tell, you know, what I did. that
was one of the highlights of the conversation that, you know, we had over the phone there last week or whenever.
I mean, I know that magicians can be. I mean, I've said stuff in the
we're
past.
Some of the saltiest motherfuckers that you're ever going to meet, man. Jealous. So I'm better than you. No, you're better than me. You know, it's like everybody's at each other's throats and necks. It seems like no one wants to support.
You know, I've said I was going to do this. I said, the thing is, I don't really get it so much anymore because I've delivered on what I said I was going to do.
Right.
But in the beginning, when I was first new into a lot of these magic groups, people didn't. I mean, granted, they didn't know who I was. Right? They didn't know who I was because I wasn't in the magic community. So you know, they came at me like and there's still this huge degree of skepticism about just about anything that I say. I mean, and maybe it's just a universal thing with magic. I don't know, but it's like if I said I ate eggs today, okay, there'd be a group of magicians say I was lying about it, okay, or they would say, prove it, show a picture of the eggs or eggshells or something, you know. So I knew that, and just for my own personal entertainment, and I mean, this is very, very patient that I was able to execute on this. So we went through. We had the script wrote. Got the script ready to shoot. I went through the prep. We rented all the cameras, got the lenses, worked with the lighting people, hired a crew, cast it, got the talent, flew them in, scouted the locations. We went through a full shoot. I didn't say one word. Okay. We got the movie done.
How many days did it take to film?
Most of what we did, we were able to do about 8 days.
That's pretty good.
Okay. I got the movie, got all the footage over to the editor, hired a professional editor, top-notch editor.
This is way back in 2020 also, right? So you're in the height of COVID.
Yeah. And got all the footage cut together. He sent me a link and said, hey, I got a first cut for you to look at. We watched the cut. Then is when I went to the magic community and said, I'm doing a movie.
And they're like, fuck you. No, you're not.
Basically. And little did they know, by the time that I announced it, we were already in edit. So
how did you tell them that you how did you announce it? Like you said,
I shared a press release. I did a press release and I shared a press release in the magic.
And now all you get is crickets. You know, like I've been accused of being a liar, you know, very seldomly by a few people, but at least in the magic community, I've not had anybody call me a liar yet. So.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's lying. He's had it all the time.
Yeah.
If they do, they don't tell it to my face.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it was so funny because it was like me being a magician doing a prediction trick, knowing how an audience was going to react, and I did it. And I mean, bro, people were in my DMs. They're like, "Man, what are you? You're lying. You're not. You know, what's it? Blah blah blah." And they were in the comments. And they were, you know, and I was sitting there. I was like, wow. And little did they know,
like a double kick in the ass is for those people is that I'm assuming here I might be going off on a stretch, but your movie was funded from your magic career.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a double whammy to them. So to anybody that was a doubter, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's great, though, man.
I was wondering.
I can't wait to see it.
You've got metrics
I love horror
on
movies.
your advertising. Right?
Yep.
The metrics on your advertising. So, what avenues of advertisement have you found work the best for you?
Repeated advertising, and it's expensive. So, I mean, I've done lead services. I've done e-blasts. That's still a big staple of what I do. E-blasts, postcards, individual emails. I mean, back when you could do it, I mean, I did fax. You know,
What's the e-blast?
An email marketing blast.
I'm just letting you guys know we're at 5 minutes again, so we've already been another 40 minutes. So we got 5 minutes.
So like loading up, you know, getting a group of emails together and sending out like an email announcement or email newsletter. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Here's a video. Take a look at it. You know, that's still the main, you know, centerpiece of my marketing is still a lot of emails. But the thing is, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone either. So you got to pick up the phone, get the email, whoever that person is, make that call, and then you track that. How many calls did you make today? How many emails did you send today? How many of those emails were opened? How many times were those emails opened? What time was those emails opened? And then you sit back and you look at it.
And what time is the best time to send an email, for example, that kind of thing?
There's data out there that says you should never send an email on a Monday. Never do an e-blast on a Monday. Another metric
Bob
says,
Geldof doesn't like Mondays.
And then there's another metric that says don't send an email on a Friday. So, you know, but the thing is, when you look at that data collectively, you sit back and you look at that data, it will talk to you. It will tell you things just by watching it, just by looking at it. But, you know, this thing is, it's not just knock against magicians. 90% of business owners aren't tracking. If I showed you everything that I track, and that's why it's funny, because I know now what Steve was telling me in that Tony Robbins workshop. I said, man, what all do y'all tracking Tony Robbins organization? He says, everything. And I said, damn, okay. And then when I started, it was 2 or 3 things. Then it was 4 or 5. Now, if I sit down, but here's the funny thing about it. I have such a system that I could look at my entire system in 20 minutes. I could tell you everything going on. But if you looked at every little nook and cranny of little things that I track, you would say, holy cow, he tracks this, he tracks this, he tracks this, he tracks this, he tracks this. Then you got to stay on top of it, you know? So that's the part of where I'm not debating an Elmsley count versus a Jordan count, a top palm versus a top change. Bro, I'm not interested in it. I mean, all that stuff's cool.
Yes,
but at the end of the day,
now,
is that going to book me shows?
All right, so we're going to take another break, guys.
You want to keep going?
You what? Sorry.
Do y'all want to keep going?
We can, yeah, man. Let's rock out one more. I feel like Dan's got a lot of questions I want to answer.
All right.
We'll see you on the other side, guys.
All right, we'll take another little bit of break here, and I'll restart this.
You know, Dan, let me just ask you a couple of questions. If you have something to write down, write this down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm ready.
How many quotes did you send out last month?
Not a lot. Probably like 100.
Probably like.
Yeah, I've not been tracking it. No, I'm not a big brain like Dewayne Hill.
I'm just posing questions for you to start asking. How many quotes did you send out last month? What was the average of those quotes from last month?
Average quotes.
The quotes that you sent out, how many of those quotes actually booked and turned into a show?
So we'll call that. I'm trying to think of the word. There's a word for that. No, there's a
conversion.
Conversion rate. Yeah, conversion.
The shows that you did book, where did they come from? Do you notice a correlation between the lower paying shows and where those come from versus the higher paying shows? How much money did you spend on marketing? And what would happen if you doubled your spend?
So
those are questions, if I were you, I would be asking, and I would be trying to find those answers.
So full disclosure, we're just speaking to Dewayne before we came back on camera, and Dewayne was showing us what he tracks. He was showing us he was showing us the information about what he tracks, and he's got it all set up in Excel spreadsheets so that so it automatically populates the information into certain categories. For example, you have been tracking your conversion rates. You have been tracking. You have been tracking the. You what? Sorry.
Everything. He's been tracking everything.
Yeah, this guy tracks.
I don't mean to interrupt. Just real fast. Would you make that publicly available somehow? I know you said that people have asked prior. You know, not your personal shit, but the actual spreadsheet itself. I mean,
well, I mean, I can show certain things about it, but what's important is that each individual has got to track what information is important to them.
Right. But I mean, for someone like me, it's like I don't even know what would be important, to track.
Those are the questions you got to ask. That's why I'm basically giving him a template of some things that he needs to start tracking.
Well, you've got stock level, price per item in net profit, gross, the amount of tax that you need to pay on each one, the amount of shipping that you need to pay on each one. Because you're selling a product. You're selling a product. So then how much you're spending on advertising? How much how much time you put into actually advertising the product? It's like AJ makes merch, right? So he's got AJ shirts, he's got AJ hats, he's got you were selling books before.
I still sell books.
Yeah, and
so let me
those are the kind of metrics you want to be looking at.
Like I was saying in the previous session, okay, I got a level of intensity that's a little bit insane, okay, and I know that. I'm cool with that. But let me give you an example. There is coaching, business coaching. I pay for. Cool. Then there's what I learned, strategy. That's a separate person where we get together, we game plan and map out, test this and float this and try, There's strategy. But now there's a new category that I started paying for this year, which is an analyst. So I met an analyst that analyzes data, and we worked out a rate. And now what we're going to do is next month is I'm going to send him all of my data from 2021. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to listen. And I'm going to let him as a data analyst look at my information and come back and tell me something that I didn't see. So there's a level of doing that, right? But then there's a different level of, are you willing to do that? And then, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to pay for that?
See, I think that's the big thing that I was asking earlier. It's like, do you consider yourself an artist? I don't consider myself a businessman. I have a degree in business, right? So I studied that stuff, but I consider myself more of an artist. So the things that you do, the things that you track, it's like, I don't want to bother myself with it, but you've shown me the importance of it. And so I guess for, Dan, would you be willing to do that? Or is it not a priority?
I mean, start tracking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
that's the big thing. Are you willing to do it? He's giving you the keys. He's giving you the keys, but
100%. And I've not really been investing in marketing. I've not really been investing in all these things. I don't have a team. A lot of the stuff that comes through is just on the phone, and it's people that have already seen me before, or people that have said, "Oh, you were really good at this wedding last year," and blah blah blah. I've been to a couple of wedding shows. I've not I've not really marketed myself as well as I could have done. I don't have a website. I don't even have a website. I don't have yeah, exactly. I don't have a website. I don't have but I am getting gigs through. Right. But what I want to do is start expanding my business to the point where like I need analytics and I need and you know, because I'm still working a real job. I'm not a full-time magician. You know,
and that's okay, and that's okay. But the thing is, you know, as they say, at a starting point, you know, just basic. I mean, bro, right now, what you could get started with is just one spreadsheet. I mean, yeah, I've got like 5 or 6 spreadsheets I look at, you know, check every month and look at this, look at it. But bro, I started with one. I had one. Mm-hmm. When I started with one. I had a list of my shows that I booked. I was able to keep them all in one spreadsheet. I had a list of all my shows that I booked. And then I had a list of, then I had what I was spending about on marketing. Okay. And I was tracking my average contract. Those were the 3 main metrics I was tracking because I wanted to move. I knew that I needed to move to averaging $1,000 a show. So I started tracking what was my contract average, right? What was my average contract? And I remember I started seeing it climb. You know, I remember the year I started tracking it, it was, you know, like $600. And then I remember the next year was like 770.
Let me ask you a question. You know, this might throw you off base a little bit, but let's say, you know, you pick up one of those books back there behind you and you want to read it, right?
Yeah.
You pick the book up, say you read a little bit of it, and then what do you do with that book? You sure as hell don't lay it on your counter. Do you put that book right back where it was? Because you seem like a very organized person, you know, in your life and everything. It looks like everything, you know, from what is, you know, apparent that I'm being seen is organizational skills. How does that come down, you know, to the business side of it?
You have to break things down to manageable because, bro, I'm telling you right now, there's some things that I might be kind of scattered all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm not 100% organized on every single thing. And I've learned not to be a control freak because it doesn't help anybody to be a control freak.
I mean, that's not saying that would be a bad thing at all. It's like, dude, you know, you saw us, we're kind of disorganized, right? With the podcast.
But you have to be deliberate.
Right.
In what you want to do. So let me give you an example. This is part of my daily routine, right? This is my daily routine. So I had this book made. And on the top of the book, I write out the goals that I want to achieve. Okay.
Right.
And on this side, I write out why. You know, I have a goal for this. Why is that? Okay. And I write this out daily. I used to be the person I write out my goals once a year. Okay. And then I started doing it like, you know, a couple times a year. Then I got to where I was doing it like, you know, I write them out daily.
Where does it come from? Like for me, you know, like I've had goals, you know, like say I wanted to make some hats or say I wanted to produce some shirts or, you know, make some watches. I produce some watches, you know, writing books, you know, at this point now it's like, I don't even know what I want to do. So how do you okay, I'm saying generally speaking as a broad, big goal. So how do you have daily goals? You know, say is the daily goal, say I'm going to wake up and make up my bed or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Nothing that simple. Like just
that's good. So what I was saying was that this is what I write out as my list of goals.
Right.
And then this down here are the steps or actions that I take for the day to do that. So I don't necessarily just create a to-do list. It's when I look at what I'm working on up here, it tells me what to do down here.
Right.
Okay. And that helps me emotionally manage it where I don't feel as anxious. I still get annoyed. I still get, you know, like I'm running out of time. It always happens right before I get on the road. Like I'm flying out tomorrow. So I'm
where did you get the idea to do that from?
This is another Tony Robbins. Okay. So, it helps me break it down where it's manageable. And I know that I may not cross off everything that I wanted to do today, but I got most of it. So it helps me not be so, you know, and you know,
how much of that do you actually enjoy doing? You know, it's like how much of it is what you enjoy doing, writing down your goals, and how much of it is discipline and, you making yourself sit down and think,
I mean, my goals are just crystal concrete. It's like, okay, I want to do this, and this is why I want to do it. I want this to happen because I want this to happen.
Do you enjoy the process of sitting down? Do you actually enjoy that? Or is it something you have to discipline yourself? Because you said you used to do it once a month. But you said daily. It's your daily goals. Do you enjoy doing that? Or is it something you had to make yourself do?
No, I don't.
You don't enjoy it?
No, I don't.
But you make yourself. So discipline is the key.
You do it for results.
But this is who I am. I accept who I am. I am a trophy collector. Like, if you can look, you can't see, but I'm a trophy collector. Like, let me tilt my. See the top, my top shelf.
Oh, very nice. Hey, there's your clipboard. Or
that's my slate. That's my slate.
Your slate.
But see, I'm a trophy collector. I collect the trophies, so I gotta have a trophy.
So what's your next trophy then?
Series order, graphic novel, and getting a series order for my TV show.
What about okay? So you mentioned TV show. You hinted about it. What's your trophy for the movie? Do you have any plans of walking
distribution?
All right, all right. After that, do you have a big vision? As far as walking down the red carpet, is it going to be straight to video on demand? Is it going to be straight to DVD?
We did the red carpet thing. We did the red carpet thing back in November.
Oh, really?
The next thing after that is we're going to do
another. Did you go to AFM?
Yeah, I was at AFM.
Really?
Yeah,
all right, dude.
Yeah, we did. We did AFM this year. The next thing is the.
Did y'all get a booth, or did you have someone representing?
No, I was there. Everything was virtual this year, but
yeah.
I was able to. I was able to highlight my movie and made it one of the main feature films out of all the 400 films I had there.
No.
So.
Shit.
Yeah, man. But so the next thing after that is I want to do the sequel, the follow up to the film. So that's the next thing. I mean, the thing is, I think we all know what we want to do. We're just not honest about it.
Yeah.
Because either it scares us or we know we got to do a certain amount of work that sometimes we don't want to do.
My thing is with what I think that I want to do, I say that I don't know the steps, so to say, but I mean, I just really don't know if I care, Then
you don't want it enough.
Exactly, Or maybe it's just fear, or maybe it's uncertainty, or maybe I just don't know what I want. That's being completely honest.
You know.
Okay, I'm scared, motherfucker. I'm scared. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm scared.
Exactly. We all know. We all know.
I think that, myself, I use the excuse a lot of times of, I'm not ready. I'm going to keep learning more stuff. I need to be prepared for this situation. But I know as soon as I'm on stage, man, I freaking rock it. I know that I rock it. But then it's like, well, I don't like doing stage shows. So one of my friends, Cliff Daniels, he put me up at open mic night and put me on the list and called my ass on stage. I was like, well, fuck, what am I going to do? And I had to switch everything that I've ever performed before for a stage thing, right? And I rocked it. I didn't want to do it, but now I'm at the point now. It's like open mic nights, and then somebody else was telling me, who was it I was talking to? I guess it doesn't matter, but they were saying, it was Chris Wald, Walde, one of Smooth Eating's friends. He was telling me about what he would do would rent a ballroom out. And he showed me the setup of how he would have everybody horseshoed in, for what was most, successful. And I guess that's the next step. But man, I'm fucking scared.
Of what?
People management, being able to manage the crowd in a situation that I've never did before. But it's like taking the leap of faith. It's like, if you're going to stand on top of a building and, go, skydiving or bungee jumping or whatever, it's that step, it's like, that's what scares you. That's the, someone told me it came from a book or something that said perfection is paralysis. It's like in my mind, it's like, it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be perfect. But it's like, well, shit, dude, time's keep on a ticking. You're 10 years old.
It will never be. And I kept telling my cameraman, my main cameraman on the movie, that because he's very much a perfectionist, and he would let perfectionism paralyze him from taking action. And I kept telling him over and over and over. And I kept telling him the same phrase. We'd be on the set, and I said, look, man, it will never be perfect. If you're waiting on perfect, it will never be perfect. But
Stuart
90%,
Wilde, one of my favorite authors, he was like a metaphysical author. And one of the quotes that he said in the book, Whispering Winds of Change, it says, perfection is mostly the ability to become comfortable with compromise.
yeah,
Because there is no perfection. You know, you're going to have to compromise somewhere.
it will never be perfect. But 90% of great is better than 100% of zero.
Yep.
It will never be perfect.
I know what you mean, Alex, though, but it's hard to compromise. It's hard to, it's hard to figure out what part of it to compromise on. So anyway, guys,
think about Microsoft. Think about Apple. Okay, they release a new iPhone. It ain't ready.
Yep. Oh, you were talking. It was you I was talking on the phone. You were telling me this. Okay.
I mean,
Sure that was you
why? I mean, I just booted my computer today.
Yep.
I booted, and then Windows sent me a thing, said, hey, upgrade to Windows 11. Why do we need Windows 11? Because Windows 10 wasn't perfect. It will never be perfect, but they released it anyway. So why do you always have a software update on your iPhone? Because it ain't perfect.
So you guys have got goals for the future. Dewayne, how would you decide what steps to take to actualize your goals?
You always start with the question of what can I do? Or if you don't know, you find someone that's done it, and then you ask them, I want to do this. What should I do next? And they, most of the time, unless there's some magicians, will probably tell you. You got to find people. It's called modeling, right? You want to find people that have the results that you want, and that's who you gotta get around those people and say, okay, you have this. I want to do that. How did you do it? What information are you willing to share? Some people will tell you everything. Some people won't tell you anything. Some people tell you a little bit, right? And you take that little bit, you take action on that little bit, and then you learn. And then you go to somebody else and say, what did you do? And then you take that back to the drawing board and you learn. And then you go to somebody else. And that's how you grow. That's part of the growth process. But the question is getting honest with yourself. Most people are not honest about what they want.
Right. You brought the most honesty out of me that's ever been on this entire damn podcast. This is episode number 25, I guess. So yeah, you brought the real honesty with me.
I mean,
it made me face myself. It's like, I really don't know what I want. You said, but it's how bad do you want it?
Right.
Am I disciplined to wake up, make a list of goals every day? It's like, well, hell, dude, I want to get a haircut, but I've not made myself do that yet,
You've still not told everyone that you're sexually attracted to gerbils, but some things you got to keep to yourself.
Hey man, it comes down to laziness is really what I think. It comes down to laziness. You can't be lazy. So if you're going to fuck that gerbil, go to the damn, PetSmart and buy the damn gerbil.
Yeah, get the cardboard tube.
Grab the bull by the horns, man. We're losing Dewayne here. Some bad jokes.
Hey, the plan for me, I want to go to Blackpool, hang around these cats,
dude.
I want to talk to them
with us next year.
I want to do a lecture about what they got to do to book shows. I think a lot of magicians are curious about this, and they got questions, and these answers got to get out there. So,
have you ever been to Blackpool?
Have not been to Blackpool.
You've never been? Oh man, if you go and you hang out with me, it's going to be rowdy. I'm just going to warn you up front.
No, I have not been to Blackpool.
So go to Blackpool, just don't hang out with him.
If I go, I'm going there with the sole purpose of telling magicians how to book shows.
If I go, it's about getting fucked up as much as possible. And
I heard that. I've reading these in these group posts about I guess a lot of hangovers and recovery.
Oh man, I went to one show, the entire show, the only one show I went for Blackpool in 2020 or 2019, whenever it was. I saw Lance Burton. I saw that, and the rest of my time was spent hanging out with everybody. There's a bar, there in the area, and that's where the best of it is. But I'm not trying to be, business minded like you. So you'd want to go knock elbows at the convention and shit, but you meet some of the best connections. And I made some great friends there, and I still talk to all these people, even regularly. Like that's how I met Dan, was at Blackpool.
Yeah, the most fun that you'll have. So besides from accomplishing your goals,
which we don't.
The most fun that you'll have is probably in the rusking afterwards. After it's all finished and stuff, going back and meeting the interesting people that are there, because there's people from all over the world. There's people from, some sort of backwoods hick town like Tennessee,
but everybody loved Tennessee. Well, mostly everyone loved me.
When I first met Alex, I thought his accent was fake. I thought he was doing it as a joke, and but no, he really talks like this pretty much all the time.
But the best part though is like, I lived in Taiwan for a couple of years, and I speak Chinese, not very well. But I was like, hey man, I want to go speak Chinese to them. And was it you that thought that I was just making shit up?
No, it's not that. But you were asking people who were like, not even
1 minute remaining.
Not Taiwanese.
1 minute remaining.
Yeah, you're asking people who weren't even from like Taiwan. You're asking like some kid, and he was like, I'm from London. And then he started talking to him in fucking Mandarin, and he's like, "What the fuck are you saying?" Like,
hey man, hashtag Blackpool problems. All right, guys, this is it, man. We got 30 seconds.
Dewayne, this has been brilliant. This has been brilliant, and thanks to everybody at home who's come to check this out. And thanks to Dewayne for sticking with us for so long. And I'm sure people at home will take a lot from this. And thanks so much for.
You bet, man. You bet.
It was great. Freaking loved it, man. See you at Blackpool.
All right, guys.
Well, let's stay in touch too. All right, peace.